Greetings and welcome to In-Depth and Dike Rostant. Now, Animae Caribe, in celebrating just under a quarter century as a festival, evolved into a dynamic platform that connects Caribbean talent with international stakeholders. Now, one such stakeholder is Gabriel Odartei. He's the creative of Yamina, and he's the executive producer and managing director of MAKU Productions. Thank you so much for joining us. And I want us to start off, please, because even while we're giving the idea that November 27 to 29 is on under the theme Art, Content, and the Future, from Ghana to Canada, I want to ask what is the biggest difference in the two spaces and how that affects you in the worlds that you live in terms of as a filmmaker?
Well, the difference in the two spaces, obviously, the time zone difference is the first thing because I have to communicate with a team that is about 4 or 5 hours ahead of us. So, and most of the animators and the voice actors are in Ghana. So I'm coordinating between here and there, and so that's one big difference. Also, the culture in Ghana is a little different from here, so I have to kind of relate to them when I'm working with them. And this project took about 3 years. So those 3 years, I'm going back and forth between Canada and Ghana, coordinating everything. Majority of my team is there for this particular project. So it's a little different. The way you communicate with them, the way you do everything is a little different in comparison to Canada. And that was a little bit challenging at times. They also, even though I'm Canadian, paying them, working with them, I have to do with US dollars, and yeah, so there's a few things that are different. The way they understand, the way they work. Here in Canada, we get paid every 2 weeks. Over there, it's every month. So even paying them, you have to give them enough money to be able to sustain them for an entire month so that they can work. So even that is different for them. They don't understand the way we do things here. So they need to be committed to you for a month on a monthly basis, and that alone is also different. So yeah, there's a few things, um, and I would say for now, those are some of the things that I had to deal with when I'm working with them over there. You know.
And I like the fact that you talk about relating to them, and I want to ask, who do you create for? I know some people say, okay, well, they have a target marking, they have a grouping that they want to pick up on the content that the output that they do. Some people says if it doesn't interest them, if they are not in love with it, uh, then it doesn't necessarily make sense to it. Who do you create for?
Well, for this movie particularly, it's for the global audience, and that's why I'm happy that I'm actually premiering in the Caribbean to Trinidad and Tobago because I did it in a way that it's not just for one particular demographic. It's for the international audience. So I created the movie with that in the back of my mind. It's for the global audience, national audience. Yeah,
Now, you've been, as I looked at one of your bios, and you've been described as very hands-on.
yeah.
Is that a choice? And I ask that because sometimes if some people had the choice to be a little removed from the project, able to operate a little more strategically, as opposed to, okay, well, this had to do, and I guess I need to do it.
I am hands-on because I'm also an artist. I've done a lot of things in my background in arts. I'm not the animator, but I'm hands-on because this is a story that's dear to me. I was part of writing the story. I picked the studio that I wanted to work with. The characters' names, everything in the story is mine. So I definitely wanted to make sure that it comes out the way I envisioned in my mind. So I'm very hands-on in every single aspect of this project. The only thing that I may not be hands-on with is the actual animation itself. So yeah, I wanted to make sure everything comes out the way I like. And as a director, you have to be hands-on in the process to make sure that everything looks perfect the way you want it to be. So everything I do, I like to be, involved in that.
Now, I want to move away from this film, this passion project, this work that you are going to feature momentarily, and I want to talk a little bit about the Mansa family. And the reason I want to do that is because there are things that I see and I wonder about the level of intentionality. And I say that when you look at the logo for MAKU Productions, I see
Mhm.
Sankofa.
Yes.
When I'm going through and seeing some of the things in terms of the Mansa family, you see the the swords, Yakofena. Um, on the on no, that one was with Yamina. But in the Mansa family, you see this picture of Kwame Nkrumah.
Kwame Nkrumah, yes.
You The son's
Yeah.
name is Kwame, and I don't know if that's directly from Kwame Nkrumah or because in your backstory for him, you have him born on a Saturday. So how intentional are these things that you're putting in, even though you want people to get it?
So that one I was very, very intentional with everything. It's supposed to be a diasporan family, like a black family that lives in North America. And I just wanted to promote the African culture so much through that show that every single aspect from the clothing they're wearing, the names, the posters on the wall, I was very, very intentional about it. Um, the first few episodes, the one you saw with Coming From on the Wall, I was just making sure that we represent ourselves so much in there that I wanted Kwame Nkrumah's post on the wall. The last episode that we did, which was about the Jamaican family, I even had Bob Marley's post on the wall. So I really wanted to promote all these things through that show, that I was very intentional with everything that we did. The names, the music, everything, promoting African culture, African clothing, our foods. So as for that particular show, I was really, really intentional with everything about it. And some of the characters are actually people that I know in real life that I use to draw the images of the characters. And the names I chose were people that I know, I actually know as well, and so the Kwame Nkrumah and the boy Kwame, there's no connection there. It's just common African names that we have, popular African names that we have is what I try to use. But with the Kwame Nkrumah post on the wall, there's actually an episode about that where we're celebrating Ghana independence. I did an episode about Ghana independence. So in that episode, the girl will ask the mom, is that Kwame Nkrumah's poster on the wall? And then the mom uses that to explain and educate the audience who Dr. Kwame Nkrumah is. So it was there, and that whole episode was about Ghana independence and him being, the father of Ghana independence. That was a very important episode for me to have his poster on the wall. So as for the Mansa family, every episode is about educating the audience while kind of entertaining them at the same time. So that's a very important show for me that I'm glad that you brought that up actually, because a lot of people don't know that I have that as well on YouTube. So thank you for
Yeah,
bringing
man,
that
we're
up.
talking about these things, but what is the kind of duration from ideation, from conception to implementation for an episode?
For the Manson family, it could take anywhere between a month or two. It all depends on sometimes the voice acting might delay a little bit, but ideally I would like to do them more frequently. But it could take about a month or two to create an episode for that one.
I mean, that we take a short break. We are speaking with Gabriel Odartei, creator of Yamina, and we want to get into that film because, of course, that's the topic at hand, as
Yeah.
well as the significance of being part of Animae Caribe, which is celebrating 24 years. And stay with us. We return after this.
Not only just a platform to create content, but it also is impacting the lives of our students. It is impacting the lives of young people to start to see themselves on television. It's impacting children to hear their voices. It is impacting artists to be able to see their work and their craft on television or on the internet. So this is a huge thing.
I am Princess Yamina. This is my land, and these are my people.
Welcome back. We are here speaking to talent, should I say Ghanaian Canadian, but
Yes.
he will talk about it. Gabriel Odartei, and this African Canadian media artist, he describes himself as a storyteller, a cultural connector, committed to producing work that celebrates African and Black experiences while bridging cultural identity. Thank you once again for joining us, Gabriel. And Mansa Family is one thing. Yamina, and this is even me doing a shorter version, so you give me the longer name of the film, please. What is the genesis of this?
So I 3 years ago when I started this project, I felt the need to tell stories about African queens. There's a lot of them, stories about them that historically we've heard of, but I felt nobody has really told those stories. In Ghana we have a story about Ya Santua, the warrior queen who fought the British. In Nigeria they have Queen Amina. You go to Angola, I believe there's Queen Nzenga, and it's about 6 or 7 of them. Even the Jamaicans talk about Queen Nani. So I felt like telling the story, but at the same time, too, animation was now coming up, and I wanted to use animation to tell the story because it's probably the easiest way to do it at the time. And I'm a fan of art; I love arts. So when I got an opportunity to do this through the animation studio that I'm partnered with, Wonder World Studios in Ghana, I was really excited to do this. And luckily, God being so good, I got a producer to help me to create the story. I already had it written, so when the opportunity came, I decided to take it on. And at that time, too, movies like Black Panther and Warrior Queen with Viola Davis had just come out, so that was more of a big inspiration for me to really, really go ahead and do this. And then that's how it really began.
And I like the fact that you said that this is something that needed to be done, and I want you to build on that a little bit, please, because you said you already had it written. Why the need to have the story about African queens? And I ask that question because many times we look at the fact that many African societies will follow a matrifocal sort of energy. But at the same time, taking that and putting it into film, sometimes you can find that butting heads with the fact that is in other societies that may have a larger footprint. That's not necessarily the case. It's a lot more patrifocal. So
It is.
tell me about your why, as in, no man, this needs to be done.
Yeah, like I was saying, it really nobody is telling these stories, but they're very important. I feel like especially our women need to also hear this and the significant role that these warrior queens played in our history, I felt like it's really, really very important and it had to be told, and the fact that nobody was telling it, I was wondering why. I don't know if it's maybe because nobody has written a good story around it, or maybe it's just the audience didn't feel the need to see it. But I thought it was very important to tell it, and the easiest way at that time probably would be animation, because maybe on a live picture movie, maybe people wouldn't be interested in it, or maybe it's hard to shoot those kind of movies. But I thought with animation we can, and mine is a fictional story, by the way, because it was not based on one particular warrior queen. So I was able to combine different stories from different places to create my own, and I just felt like it would be exciting to see it through animation, and with animation, you can do anything. You can change things around and make it more exciting, more action-packed. So I felt the need to do it. But also, like I said earlier, this is not for one particular country or demographic. I had to also make it in a way that international audience will appeal to it and find it, resonate with it. So I just wanted to tell the story, knowing that it will transcend to just not just Africa, but the international audience.
And I think also with an animated film, you also have the opportunity to have the protagonist riding a big a big cat of prey. Yeah,
That's right.
it's
That's
kind of
right.
harder to do in a in a live action.
That's
But
right.
but speak to
Yeah.
me a little bit about the animation, please, in terms of like how it is you found the person to say, okay, well, this is the person that I want to animate, and what type of animation is it? Because we hear conversations now about 2D versus 3D, and what is that process like?
Yeah, so the animation studio, they're also like a school that teaches young kids how to do animation. It's an institution. And I had to do a little bit of research, to see which team that I want to partner with. Because I also have an animation company here in Canada, but we weren't ready to do the type of work that I was looking for. So I was glad to find this studio in Ghana to partner with. because they're very, very good. You've seen the kind of work that we've done. It looks like Hollywood level animation, and I'm glad that we were able to partner with them. But we mixed, I mean, it's 2D animation, but there's a scene in the movie where we combine, it's like a war scene where we combine 2D with 3D. And it's it's a very hard process to do this movie because the level that we wanted to show the world, we want to show that we can do what people see in Hollywood, you know. So it's that's what we did, 2D, 3D, but it's mostly 2D animation. And then we also looked at how we wanted our characters to look like the style of animation that we wanted to go for. It's we chose a kind of style that doesn't look like just African characters. You know, if you look at them, they don't have the features of the characters don't look a certain way. We want it to look like anime style characters. So yeah, so that's what we chose, and that's the direction that we went with this. Because once again, we wanted to appeal to a global audience. So yeah, that's how we came about.
I like the fact that you talk about partnerships. You are going to be at Animae Caribe. How important is an event like this, and what opportunities do you get from its possibilities?
Yeah, good question. So what we have right now actually is not the full story. Because it's very expensive to do this kind of animation, we were able to just do part of the movie. My movie is about an hour and 45 minutes, but what we have is just part one because I'm still looking for more resource, more funding to be able to complete the rest of it. So I'm going to these film festivals hoping that we can get either another co-producer come on board or a distribution opportunity to be able to finish the rest of it. So that's why I'm excited to be in Animae Caribe Festival to show the world what we have, and maybe we might find a producer or another partner come on board and help us finish the rest of the story. Because I believe what we have is worthy of being on these big streaming platforms like Netflix, Amazon, and all those other companies. Or you never know who will be there, right? Who might see it and say they would like to work with us for even their own stories and things like that. So that's why I'm coming to these festivals, just to show what we have and then connect with other people. And this is our first Caribbean premiere, at Animae Caribe Festival. So I'm really excited to be there.
Speaking of connections, please give us your handles so that people who are interested can reach out and see your work.
Yes, so on YouTube, our channel is MAKU Studios, MAKU Studios, and my email is info@makuproductions.com, and I can be reached over there. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you as well, Mr. Gabriel Odartei, the creator of Yamina and executive producer and managing director of MAKU Productions. On behalf of everyone involved, I'm Dike Rostant. Thank you so much for tuning in.